Welcome to lesson 16-1, classify triangles. Your I can statement for tonight is I can classify triangles by their angles and sides. Go ahead and write that I can statement by pushing pause and then push play when you're ready to continue. Next thing that you're going to be doing is writing vocabulary. You're going to have 6 vocabulary words. And as we go through vocabulary, you first need to label your journal with vocabulary. So go ahead and push pause and do that. Push play when you're ready. Now that you've come back, I want you to draw and write a rectangle and write an equilateral triangle and draw an equilateral triangle. Now, what I'm writing down, I want you to write in your notebook as well, which is going to be the definition for each of these classifications of triangles. So for the first one, equilateral triangle, that means all, oh, I need my pen. That means all sides and angles are congruent. Congruent means equal. So you're going to write all sides and angles are congruent. You're also going to show a line through it, which all means they're all congruent. And I also want you to circle each angle, because each angle of an equilateral triangle is 60 degrees. Always, 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 always. They're going to be 60 degrees in each of those 3 angles. And so if you added that up, 60 plus 60 plus 60, you would find that that equals 180 degrees. So all the angles of a triangle will always equal 180 degrees. Even if it's an isosceles triangle or a scalene triangle, all of the angles have to add up to 180 degrees. Your next vocabulary is going to be isosceles triangle, and I want you to draw the isosceles triangle just as you see it. An isosceles triangle has 2 congruent, I'm going to abbreviate, sides and angles. So these 2 sides are going to be congruent, and these 2 angles are going to be congruent. That's an example of one isosceles triangle. Now, they don't all have to look this way. Please bear with me as I'm drawing. But we could, if these 2 sides were equal or congruent, that would be an isosceles triangle as well. Those would be 2 congruent sides, and then these would be 2 congruent angles. I wanted this to be a right isosceles, so that could be a right angle. So you're going to write isosceles triangle, draw both of those examples, and then write 2 congruent sides and angles. Push pause if you need to, and then push play when you're done to move on to the next vocabulary words. On the next slide, we are going to introduce you to a scalene triangle. Now, a scalene triangle has no, 0 zip, equal sides or angles. So each side is a different length, and each angle will be a different degree. The next vocab is right triangle, and a right triangle is a triangle with a right angle, just as the picture shows you. And if you don't know, a right angle is 90 degrees. And this example actually shows us a right isosceles. So if that's 90, this would be 45 degrees and 45 degrees, which would give us a total of 180 degrees. So go ahead and write both of those vocabulary words down. Push pause and then push play when you're ready to go on. Okay, the next 2 are an acute triangle. An acute triangle is a triangle with all acute angles. A triangle with all acute angles. Now, what is acute angle? It is less than 90 degrees. So that means this angle here is 89 degrees or less. This angle is 89 degrees or less. And this angle is 89 degrees or less. The next vocabulary word is an obtuse angle. An obtuse triangle is a triangle that has an obtuse angle. A triangle that has an obtuse angle. Now, what is an obtuse angle? Obtuse is more than 90 degrees. That means this angle here, right here, is 91 degrees or more. So make sure you've wrote down both of those vocabulary words. Push pause and then push play when you're ready to continue. And here is our problem for tonight. Now, it says to work this with a partner. You could discuss this with your mom and dad or just simply do it by yourself. But it says one triangle is shown. Draw 5 more triangles. So you're going to be drawing 5 triangles in your math book. And they are going to have different properties. So they're not all going to be the same. You're going to draw 5 triangles with different properties. Next to each triangle, you're going to list the properties, such as do they have 2 equal sides, 1 right angle, 3 acute angles, and so on. So work with a partner to solve this problem. So Mrs. Tim's going to be your partner. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to draw a triangle that has 3 congruent sides and 3 congruent angles. So it is going to be 3 equal sides, 3 equal angles, 3 acute angles. So basically, I'm just classifying and writing down all of the characteristics. Okay, this is going to be my next one. That's an isosceles triangle. So it has 2 equal sides, 2 acute angles, and 1 right angle. Okay, moving on to my third one. This is a scalene triangle with an obtuse angle. So it has 0 sides congruent, 1 obtuse angle, and 2 acute angles. Okay, gonna draw another one. Here, another one. It has 2 equal sides, and it has 3 acute angles. Okay, now let's do another one. Has 1 right angle and 0 congruent sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now let's look at the other students' works that did the same thing. We have Dino's work. We have an equilateral triangle here, so he has 3 equal sides and 3 acute angles. Here is an isosceles triangle where we have 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles, but these are all 3 acute angles. Here's a scalene. We have 1 obtuse angle and 2 acute angles. Here we have 2 equal sides and 1 right angle, isosceles. And here we have a scalene. There is no equal side and 3 acute angles. That kind of looks like a right angle, but it's not. So Dino did a great job. Here's Wanda's work. We have 1 right angle and 2 equal sides. I guess this bottom line looks a little longer. 3 acute angles. That looks like a right angle to me, so I don't know if I would agree with that. And it's a scalene. This looks like a right angle as well, so I wouldn't say it's obtuse, but it does have 2 equal sides. 3 acute angles and 2 equal sides. It looks like they're all equal. And then 3 equal sides. There's their equilateral triangle. Wanda has some issues with hers. She doesn't have all the accurate labels for her triangles, which it says Wanda drives 5 triangles and labels their properties. However, 2 of the triangles do not appear to match the listed properties. And I would agree with that. Okay, so your mystery word for tonight is snow day. If you could write that in your paper and then summarize your thinking. Basically with that, I want you to summarize the 3 different types of triangles you learned and describe them for me. And I will check your work when you come back to school tomorrow.